Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll call you right back podcast. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host, doing things a little bit different this week. You might notice that the intro music cued first. I usually do a little intro to kick off the podcast and go over what's new in life and what's currently going on. But this week, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I listen to a lot of podcasts personally, and there's few people that I listen to that do solo podcasts. A popular one is Chris D'Elia's Congratulations podcast. He never has guests on, and it's just him ranting and kind of just riffing on different things. Another person that does a solo one is Theo Vaughn. A lot of his are solo, but he does have guests on from time to time. But I noticed that it's so difficult. I mean, they make it look very, very easy to do a podcast solo. But I mean, from a listener's point of view and a podcaster myself, I have to sit there and I just think how difficult it must be for them to be able to do hour-long podcasts by themselves and make them sound good. You know what I mean? People could just rant for an hour and some people will sound like an idiot. Some people might be able to do it better than others. I wanted to try my hand at a solo podcast, Realistically, I went on vacation last week, and I wanted to do a couple podcasts out there, but, I was on vacation, and I just didn't get around to recording. I was taking everything in. I went to California to visit a good buddy of mine, and we had a plan to do a podcast, but we were just busy out doing shit, enjoying time out there. He lives in Orange County, and we had a plan to, go, see some sights, go drive up to the Sequoia National Forest and go see the General Sherman tree. For people that don't know what the General Sherman tree is, it is the biggest single, I guess it's a single stem, I think that's what they call it, biggest single stem tree in the world. In all of the world, this thing is the biggest single stem tree. I think that means it's just basically one huge trunk with a little bit of shit off the sides. If you look at, there's big trees everywhere, but I guess I don't know the terminology of what that means, but this tree was fucking insane. 275 foot tall and 36 and a half foot in diameter. So, it was just it was insane to be standing at the base of this tree and just looking up at it. 300 foot. It's like looking at the fucking pitfall. But the pitfall was, man-made. This tree, they have marked to be, I think they said 2,200 to 2,700 years old. And, if you think about that, 2,200 years old, this fucking thing is 2,200 years old. To put it in perspective, the pitfall at Kennywood, whenever it was there, RIP, was 251 foot tall. And if you ever been on top of the pitfall, you realize how insane that is. And we went to go see this tree. But that was just part of my trip. That was the main reason we were out there. But, it wasn't just one huge tree. We were in the sequoia woods, and there's big ass trees everywhere. It's such an insane feeling to be standing around these trunks that are as wide as a house. You know what I mean? Definitely crazy. We'll get more. We'll go more in depth on vacation here in a minute. But a few things I wanted to start out with. First of all, happy birthday to my mother. Today is my mother's birthday, and she listens to all my podcasts. She's one of my biggest supporters, and I wanted to take a second to just say happy birthday to my mother. I love her very much. I would obviously not be here without her, but she's a badass. My mom is ready to retire. She's getting ready to retire, and it's long overdue, and it's well deserved. She's been putting in crazy hours ever since I could remember. My mother has been she's basically been people say they have stay-at-home moms. Well, I mean, it was kind of like my dad was a stay-at-home dad. My mom was working all the time, and I was still fortunate enough to have her to be able to be in my life as much as she was and still hold a high position that she did. My hard work definitely comes from my mom and my dad, both very, very hard workers their entire life. And I just wanted to say happy birthday to her. Love her very much, and I'm proud of her. I'm proud to be her son. Another thing we got to start out with, it's a solo podcast, but I got to keep to the script. What's in the cup? What's in the cup? So I do this segment with all my podcast guests in the beginning, where I get them all their own drink, and I did that to myself. I mean, this isn't necessarily my favorite drink, but this is a drink that I chose. Today I am drinking Truly Spiked and Sparkling, which it's basically just sparkling water with alcohol in it, 5% Sicilian blood orange. I'm going to crack this bitch open. I'm a fan of seltzer. I really am. I'm a fan of seltzer, and we didn't have any non-alcoholic seltzer in the fridge, so I mean, fuck it, I got to go with this. But yeah, so I had this vacation planned with my buddy Rob a few months ago, and for these past few months we have been trying to decide exactly what we wanted to accomplish over in California. He lives there, he's out there all the time, so it was basically it was my choice to do whatever we wanted. I traveled out there with another buddy of mine, and we spur of the moment, he did this last minute. I told him, last minute, I was like, I'm going to California next week. You want to come? And he was like, maybe. So the motherfucker bought a ticket like 3 days beforehand, and we ended up making a great trip out of it. So I leave the house Wednesday, woke up 4:30 in the morning, made my wife drive me to the airport, which was hilarious. She was super pumped. But the airport, it always gives me crazy anxiety if you think about it. It's like you go to the airport, and I hate flying in the first place. Like, there's nothing relaxing to me about traveling at all. It's like I immediately get out of the car, and I'm just like, fuck, I got to rush to this little kiosk, get my boarding pass, give these people all my shit, and get to the gate within time before they start boarding and taking off. So I remember back in the day, like, people would be like, oh, you got to be at the fucking airport 2.5 hours beforehand. You don't. You definitely do not. I mean, I don't see why you do. I'm always there early just because I don't want to be rushed. So I get there, we go to the I go to the kiosk, I get my tickets, get through, get to the gate, and I get on this fucking plane, and of course the pilot immediately says, please, there's some turbulence that is, we're going to have some turbulence coming out of Pittsburgh, so just get ready. And I'm just like, fuck, like, turbulence? Like, I don't want to hear nothing to do with that. But we ended up flying over there. I made it over there, obviously. It wasn't terrible. I just, it's key that Netflix lets you download whole episodes. So I just downloaded a whole series and watched it on my 2 plane rides. The series was called Black Summer. It is a Netflix original, but it's a zombie show. And it's whenever I say a zombie show, I'm sure people think like, oh yeah, Walking Dead. Honestly, Walking Dead was dope up until, all the soap opera shit started to happen. I just don't fuck with it anymore. I stopped watching it after Rick and Michonne got together. I just thought it was dumb. Like there was nothing even to do with zombies anymore. It was just like a drama, and it was just terrible. But people were telling me to watch this Black Summer show, and they said it was pretty good. And I watched a preview, and there was a couple noticeable faces in it, but like not anyone huge. But I was like, fuck it, I need a series to watch. These are like half-hour episodes. This will be perfect. So I downloaded all these, and I start watching them. And immediately on this fucking airplane, I put on an episode, and there's just chaos happening. This old lady sitting next to me in the middle seat. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what she was thinking that I was watching. People getting their fucking head smashed, getting hit by cars, dying on screen. It was just hilarious. And the show was actually kind of dope. It was a little bit like loose. And whenever I say loose, I mean like it was like a shallow show. It wasn't like super, super thought out as far as like content. Like they did some technique, like some difficult shit. Like they told the story from a whole bunch of different perspectives, so that made it interesting. Like how people ran into each other, but they laced it up together pretty well. I was pretty impressed with that. But the show itself was just like, I mean, it was a fun watch. Like, it's nothing crazy. I don't think that it is better than Walking Dead in its prime, but, it's good. It's definitely good. The zombies are realistic. They're more of like the rage virus type zombies, the shit from 28 Days Later. People are always like people that like zombie movies are always like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. If zombies came, fuck yeah, I'd be cool. I got a fucking gun. But realistically, it would only depend on if they were Night of the Living Dead zombies or if they were 28 Days Later zombies, because those are two very different beasts. A Night of the Living Dead zombie will walk slow. You could basically push them over, and people usually get taken out by hordes of them. There has to be a mass volume of zombies to usually get taken out by one of the slow ones. I mean, if the zombie is slow, like walking towards you very, very slowly, all sluggish and everything, you could get away and evade them kind of all right. But these fucking zombies were 28 Days Later zombies, which means they just they die, they freak out immediately, and like their body just goes in a change, and they just get up and start have a fucking dead sprint at you, and you're just like, I'm fat, I've said it on here before. I'm a big guy, I'm not. I can run quick bursts though, I'm a lineman. I'm good for a quick 10-15 yard burst, pushing people if I need to, but anything more than a 30-yard run, and I'm getting taken down pretty quick if they're the 28 Days Later zombies. And if you're one of them dudes that's like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude, I got this gun, I'll take out anything. You ain't. The gun will be good for a little bit, but eventually you're going to run out of ammo. And I mean, I know that there's like different situations, splitting hairs. You got, you can get this, you can get that, but realistically, a zombie like 28 Days Later zombies, you're probably fucked. But this show was cool. I think it was worth watching. I mean, if you're into shit like that, definitely check it out. It's called Black Summer. Another show that I was devouring is Handmaid's Tale. I talked about it on the intro last week, and for people that don't know what Handmaid's Tale is a Hulu original starring Elizabeth Moss, who is, I don't know what else she's been in. She's a notable face. There's some other notable faces. The one girl from the Gilmore Girls, the younger girl. I can't remember her name in the Gilmore Girls, but she's in this show. Poussey from Orange is the New Black is in this show. And, a bunch of other notable characters, but this show is insane. It's just so, it gives me anxiety. It's basic, and I don't want to give details away with it, so I'm just going to tell you that it's basically like it's to do with the fall of a government and how they keep women and what the purposes of women are. And it's just insane to watch it. You're watching it and you're like, Jesus, like this is pretty intense. But it's definitely worth watching. Like, we're almost done with it, and they actually just announced when season 3 was going to come out. I think they said it was June 5th. So I'm excited about that. Good shows on TV, man. There's so much good shit nowadays. It's like the world nowadays is a blessing and a curse for sure. We are attached to our phones and everything like that, but like with all that negativity comes with incredible benefits. Good TV shows, the internet, you could buy shit, anything you want online, buy it, ships to your door. A lot of cool shit going on, but definitely Handmaid's Tale and Black Summer. The last show I'm going to plug on here, if you don't like just hearing me talk, fuck off. Just shut this off. But, I'm just trying this out. There's some things that I got in the works that I think that I want to, try out. So, this is basically me giving it a whirl, giving it the old college try. But the other show I wanted to plug is called Street Food. Netflix original. You already know Netflix is killing it out here. They sent me an email the other day that said, Netflix is upping their subscription price from $10.99 to $12.99. And, I see so many people bitching online, and I'm just like, motherfucker, like, what do you expect? If you go to the movie theater, if you're taking someone to the movie theater and you guys are not skimping on drink, pop, fucking popcorn and everything, you're spending easily $30. There ain't not a chance in the world you're getting in that movie and getting some snacks for under $30, which is insane. So, people are going to bitch about paying $12.99 for a monthly subscription with a service that allows you to watch, more things that there's more shit to watch on there than you can in the rest of your life, realistically. Thousands of fucking things on there, and most of them are heat. There's some hidden gems on there too, where people just have been sleeping. But I'm gonna just keep going with it. But it kills me whenever someone will hit me up and be like, "Yo, what's up, dude? Let me get your account info." Like, motherfucker, do you think I want to spend $12.99 a month? I don't. It's like, why should I have to do it and you get the service? Motherfuckers, spend $12, come on. I don't want to fucking work either. All I could do is just, but I don't have cable. I don't spend $170 a month on cable because that is heinous. To have a cable bill like that is insane. I think Yoga Ralph told me at one point he was spending $260 on a monthly cable and internet bill. Keep it. I'd rather watch paint dry. $260 a month. But anyway, $12.99, fucking pay it. I ain't giving no one my service no more. That's insane. But the last show I'm plugging is called Street Food. It is a new Netflix original, little docu-series where they go and they kind of profile one person or a few different people from different places around the world that do street food. And the show is so good. I'm only 2 episodes in, but it's insane. I think the first person was in Thailand, and it was all about this girl or this lady in Thailand who her husband got her in a bunch of debt. They were in some crazy debt. He was trying to do some business and got her into insane debt to the point where debt people were calling her every day, threatening to take her house and everything like that. And it was just a story about how she kind of fell into cooking. She cooks in a big ass market. So there's all kinds of different people that are cooking their food of choice in there. And if you think about it, if there's 20, 30 vendors in there, how do you get a customer to come to you rather than another person. And she ends up talking about how like there's like super competitive people in there, and like, you know, they'll say shit to each other, and it's kind of like, you know, it's hectic in there. But it was just so insane to see how this lady like learned to cook, and what she cooked, and how she kind of like overcame all these negatives, and how she paid off all these debts that her husband got them in, and they're now debt free, and she just is in love with what she does, and all she's doing is cooking her mother's recipes in this street market. And I mean, like, it's nuts to hear about. I mean, like, all the food looked unreal. You know, every single thing that has been made looked unreal on this show. And you just think about it, it's like, we all go to these restaurants that are these chain restaurants. Like we went to, where did we go the other day? I went to Red Lobster the other day with my wife. We were driving up towards Robinson Mall, and she was like, "Man, I'd fuck with some Red Lobster." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'll eat a crab leg any day of the week." And it's been a minute since we went there. I knew we were about to drop a check. I knew it. These motherfuckers. And it wasn't even good. You know, like, I ordered some like crab platter that gave you crab legs and shrimp and everything, and our check with tip was like 105 or some shit. What did we order? It was like $105 or some shit. And it wasn't even good. And I'm just like, damn, like, why the fuck am I giving these people my money? Whenever you have like, you know, I started thinking about it all whenever, to come full circle, whenever I went to vacation. Like, I went to California this week, and, you know, that is where the mecca of food is. Like, you know, you have people from all different nationalities, all different parts of the world making things and available to you if you look hard enough for it. So, you know, we went to like some restaurant that was super authentic Mexican cuisine. And, you know, there's places around the Pittsburgh that do like Americanized tacos and Americanized Mexican, and you got Mad Mex and everything like that. And don't get me wrong, I'll fuck with some Mad Mex for sure. But like, these like street vendor tacos were, I swear to God, the best tacos I've ever had in my life. You know, and it was nothing special. It was meat, it was onion and cilantro and corn tortillas. And I'm just thinking, like, damn, like, I'm giving $100 to places like Red Lobster that is giving me food that ain't even that good. You know, I was not pleased with it whatsoever. You know, I'm really going to, I mean, come full circle, I'm really going to make it a point to like try to keep going to local places. Whenever I say local, I mean like smaller, like not chain, like one-off restaurants and things like that, because it's just like, you got to support that local. I mean, I'm always trying to support the local, but whenever it comes to like food or, you know, like groceries, you know, like it's hard sometimes if you think about it. You know, a local establishment means that some places are charging more and everything like that, and some things you just, you know, it's terrible, but it's a slippery slope once you get down to it. Once you get down to brass tacks, you know what I mean? But yeah, the food was just unreal. We went over there. First thing we did, hopped off that plane and took a ride to Venice Beach. Venice Beach is known for being, I mean, I was told that long ago, once the night came, it just turned into a place you didn't want to be. There was just gangs. There was all kinds of like, you know, crazy shit going on there. But during the day, it's basically just a boardwalk for tourists. You know, you walk through the boardwalk and it's just flooded with these people that are, you know, buying dumb shit and just like watching these street performers. But, you know, I've had past experiences of Venice, so like I kind of experienced that, you know what I mean? Like I've walked down the boardwalk and I've seen all the vendors, and I've seen like the weird shit that you could buy there and like all the cool sculptures and all this, but you know, something new happened this time. This is my first experience with these things. As soon as we pulled up to Venice, we had to park a little bit away, but you know, you start seeing all these people on scooters. I'm sure that people know what I'm talking about. It's almost like them pay-as-you-go bikes, but there's these scooters now, and there's ones called like the Birds. There's ones that are provided by like Uber and Lyft, and it's basically like a Razor scooter, but just an electronic one that cruises. You find a scooter, check the battery life on it, see if it got a full battery, and then it has one of them scanning codes on the front. You have an app, open up. The ones that we were using for Uber were for Uber because like I didn't want to fuck with downloading another app and putting my card in and everything. And there was ones that just said available on Uber. So I went to Uber. There's an arrow on the top that said ride, or it says like ride or bike or scooter or some shit. And then you just click it and then you hit rent and it comes up with a little picture screen and you just scan over this and it tells you how much time is available on these scooters and it says rent and you just rent it. And it's like $1 to activate it and like 15 cents a mile. So we just got on these scooters and we were cruising. Honestly, absolutely one of the highlights of the entire vacation. Like the entire vacation was incredible, but like imagine being, it's beautiful, Venice Beach, like, you leave Pittsburgh. I think it was rainy whenever I was leaving, and you pull up on Venice Beach. It's beautiful. It's sunny, music bumping, and you get on this scooter and you just start cruising. And I'm just like, damn, like this is the fucking life. So we get on these scooters and we ride down to the boardwalk, and immediately we got to get some food. So we go to this taco vendor and we get these tacos that are just out of this world. I think I paid like maybe $12 for 3 tacos and a quesadilla and a water. And I'm telling you, best tacos I've ever had in my entire life. So we decide that we're going to go cruise down the boardwalk. So that's what we did for the next hour. We just were driving around on these fucking scooters, just looking around and shit. So like we end up pulling over to the side to be done with them. And I'm curious, like I'm looking at my bill and I'm like, how much are these gonna be? So I look at my phone and it said like $2.30, and I'm just like, what? Like people pay crazy money for Uber. And I mean, in California, it's even more. I mean, it's expensive as fucking Pittsburgh, but California, it's absolutely even more money. So, I mean, you're basically paying less money and you are having fun while getting to where you need to go. And like, I get you can't ride a scooter like, 80 miles or whatever, however distance you need to be. But like usually in Uber, you're riding like 10 miles or something like that. You're not trying to pay too much. You're not trying to go too far, but these scooters were key. So, like the whole rest of the time we're there, we're just cruising on these scooters, hopping in and out of places, checking shit out. And it was super cool. Like I had a really good time going to the beach and doing all that shit. But, after we went to the scooters and after we went to like Venice and shit like that, we had a plan to go to Sequoia Forest. So Sequoia Forest is like 4.5 to 5 hours north of LA. And we wanted to go up there. We had plans to go up there and see this fucking tree. So we went to... actually, before we went to the Sequoia Forest... I'm getting off track. Before we went to the Sequoia Forest, we golfed. We golfed the whole 18 rounds. We golfed, not 18 rounds, but 18 holes out in California. And, I'm a big fan of golfing, so I never got to golf anywhere else. But the golf out there was incredible. It was a beautiful day. I didn't shoot too bad, but in the middle of our round, I look out and I was like, what the fuck is that? Is that a dog? And we realized that it ain't a dog, it's a coyote. That's crossing the fairway. Just a coyote, and you're just like, geez, that's pretty wild. But yeah, golfing was dope out there though. It wasn't expensive as I thought it was gonna be. I think we paid it was $75 for 18 holes riding with a cart. 18 holes with a cart, and I rented clubs. $75, that ain't bad at all. I thought I was going to spend hundreds. It was a country club out there. I was like, damn. But when in Rome, right? So after golf, we're just dicking around the whole time, and then we ended up waking up early and driving to the Sequoia Forest, 4.5 hours. So we ended up driving up there. We had this little hotel right outside the entrance of the national park, and we decided to go up to the park first. All right, we got all of our stuff ready. We walked down to the sequoia forest. Now, you could drive all the way up to like the parking lot, and from the parking lot, it's about like, a mile to where you could get the tree, where you could go see the trees. So we walked this mile, and then we had plans to go on a mile walk after that. Okay, so walked a mile in, and then we just had plans to go on this little mile trail before we went back to the hotel, and then we were going to do a big hike the next day. So we're walking on this trail, and immediately once we get there, there's snow all over the ground. It's 63 degrees, 62 degrees out in the air is that cold, but because it's so high up in the mountains, 7,000 feet, there is snow everywhere. Like the ground, there's 2-3 foot of snow in some places, and it's like packed down from kind of melting and like turning into like a harder material, not a harder material, sound like an idiot, but kind of like freezing over a little bit, but it's packed down. But we're hiking all over this snow, and it's an incredible experience, because like as we're hiking, we're seeing all these crazy trees around us, these huge trees, and I'm talking about trees that like I could put my arms out to the side, 6 foot, and like I could still fit in a trunk of it. It was just insane. So we're sitting there and we're walking through this trail, and I guess somehow we get turned around, and we ended up on another trail. So we're just walking. 2 hours go by, and we're just walking in the snow. And mind you, like I said, I'm a big fellow. I am breaking through the snow, and my feet are going down past my knee. So it's basically like I'm fucking hiking on sand. So I'm miserable, all right? I'm miserable because I couldn't walk on this snow. It was so difficult. But I'm walking, and then immediately, like probably an hour in, after my feet start breaking through, my feet get soaking wet. So we're hiking the whole time, and Rob looks at his map and he goes, "Yeah, we're over halfway there. We'll just keep going, and we'll loop around." I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." So half hour goes by, and he looks at the map again, and he goes, "Oh fuck!" He goes, "I think I looked at it backwards. We're not even halfway in yet." And mind you, it's starting to get dark. All right, it's about an hour and a half before sunset, and we're in these woods that we don't know where. We don't know anywhere around us. We're in these woods, snow everywhere. There's like mountain lions around and shit like that. I mean, it says that the bears, mountain lions, tigers, and bears. But I was getting worried. I would lie. I would be lying if I said that I was not getting worried, because immediately you're thinking like, fuck, like, what if I get stuck out in these woods? We were wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and we were planning for a 1 mile hike. So I had a half-filled water bottle, and nothing to eat, nothing. We had no toilet paper. It was just leading up to be a bad experience. So we decided to turn around. All right, we decided to turn around right at the point where we seen 2 people that we were following. They ended up catching up with us, and we asked them, "Hey, you know where you're going?" And they were like, "Oh no, not really. We thought that this was going to be a little bit shorter of a hike." So I immediately start kind of panicking. I'm like, these fucking people that we're following don't even know where they're going, and we're just following them like idiots. So we all turn around, and long story short, it ends up being all right. Like, we end up getting back, and it ends up being a great story. I mean, it was fun. My boots and shit were wet. I was miserable at the time, but we ended up doing like 6 miles through this snow, and you're just like, damn it. It was an intense feeling. But it was fun. I mean, it was just, it's insane to see those type of sites. Like, we're stuck in our house, we're stuck in our office, we're stuck in we're stuck in our same routines. So seeing shit like that, like the biggest tree, one of the biggest trees in the world, to see that with your eyes is like, it's humbling. You're just like, damn, there's other shit out there in the world. So after we get done hiking, we're trying to eat. So we end up going to this cool brewery where there was this, I swear to God, he had to be a crackhead. If he wasn't a crackhead, he was just pissy hammered drunk. And I mean pissy drunk. And this dude was wearing he was wearing striped overalls like you would see out of an old where would you see it? Maybe Polar Express. Actually, no. Whenever I think of Polar Express, I think of like Tom Hanks dressed as like a nice dressy type guy. But this guy looked like an old locomotive engineer that came back from the dead, that just lived in the hills. But, we're sitting there drinking this beer, and this guy comes over and he starts talking to us, sits down with us, and just starts going off. It's just talking about the most insane shit. But the thing is, you can't understand a word he's saying. You didn't understand a thing he said. It was ridiculous. But it was also great at the same time. I'm just sitting there tired as fuck, just taking this all in. And it was just a funny experience. Shout out Three Rivers Brewing in Three Rivers, Colorado, right next to the Sequoia National Forest. They had some good shit there for sure. But the camping experience overall was just great. The next day we went out on a hike. We went to this place called Morro Rock, which is the highest point around there, I believe. Not the highest point around there, but one of the most accessible highest points. I believe it was 6,875 feet or some number like that. But you have to walk up this crazy-ass trail, and then you have to walk up, I guess it's not a crazy-ass trail. It was just you have to go hike up this trail, but then you walk up these 300 and some steps that are vertical as hell, and I'm dying, all right? I'm big, and we're up high in altitude, and I'm just like, that's literally how I was breathing, just the whole time. And I'm just like, fuck. So I read this sign, and it's like, oh yeah, just a quick hike up a 325 foot of these vertical steps to this great site. And I'm just like, God damn it. So we get up there. Long story short, we get up to the top. It's worth it, obviously. It's worth it. Just insane looking up there. And it's just, beautiful sights. You're out there, you're looking, you could see fucking miles, and it blows you away. But camping was definitely awesome. Of course, I stop at the what do they call it? I think they called it the visitor center there. And I wanted to buy my wife some shit. I like to get her a souvenir. So we like candles. I burn a candle every podcast. I got a candle burning. I just like to have a flame. I like to have an energy like that in the room at all the time. It just feels nice, smells good. I don't have to explain why I like candles. I went to find my wife something cool to bring home for her from my trip, and I found this candle, and it's by a brand named Goodwill Supply, and Goodwill Supply is from Seattle, Washington, and I smelled these candles, and it's the National Park Collection. I'm an easy sell, and whenever I tell you I'm an easy sell, I'll buy anything. If I got money, I'm just trying to buy some shit, burning a hole in my pocket. But I saw this candle, and the smell says fir needle, cedar wood, and smoky tobacco. And I was like, damn. So I sniffed this thing, and I was like, yep. So I brought this home, gave it to my wife. She didn't even fucking like it. Typical. You know what I mean? Typical. Didn't even like the smell of the candle. She smelled it. She said, oh, that's cool. But what can you expect? I love her anyway, even though she's fucking stubborn. But yeah, we come back, and California is just a wild experience out there. All we did was just drive around, and we just did some crazy shit. Oh my God! Perhaps the most important thing I forgot. We get there, and the first night we're there, we go to the Comedy Store. For people that don't know what the Comedy Store is the mecca of stand-up comedy. It was owned by Mitzi Shore, who is Pauly Shore's mother. Pauly Shore was in Biodome, Son-in-Law, in the Army now, Jury Duty, Encino Man, awesome 90s classics movies. But the Comedy Store is this mecca where all these legends have performed. I'm talking Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, Joe Rogan, legends like Don Rickles, like I'm sure, like Rodney Dangerfield, like all these people, all these insane people have performed on these stages. And, I listen to, Joe Rogan and all these other comedians. That's like my wheelhouse. Like I like to listen to their podcast. That's kind of how I got into podcasting. And, I was just like, damn, like I'm here. Like you hear these people talking about this all the time. Like all the time they're talking about the store. Like, oh, I'm at the store, working out at the store. And, it's such a home to all these like amazing comedians that you find them there on random Tuesdays and Wednesdays. This lineup that we got to see at the Comedy Store was insane. So, the Comedy Store does shows I think like almost every night, but they have all kinds of different people that perform. But we went on a Wednesday night and listened to some of the people in this lineup. There was Sebastian Maniscalco, brand new special on Netflix, and he's hilarious. David fucking Spade. Joe Dirt talked to me. He asked me a question. He said, what do you think fish fillets are made out of? Real fish? And I said, probably not. That's all our exchange was, but it was during his set because we were sitting front row, and he asked me a question, and I answered it. So I talked to Joe Dirt. So whatever, get on my level. Chris D'Elia was there. Chris D'Elia is a huge comedian right now. I'm not a crazy big fan of his like style, but he's a goat right now. Like there's so many people out there just making waves in the comedy world, and he's definitely one of them. Eliza Schlesinger, she's cool. She has a Netflix special. She's a little bit too political for me. I like fucked up people like Jeff Ross. We saw Jeff Ross, and if you know who Jeff Ross is like the roast master. All he does is makes fun of people. And, I like that comedy. I like self-deprecation. I like that type of like that making fun of yourself comedy rather than the political, I don't want to hear a fucking woman comedian just come out and be like, got a big bush, ha 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 ha. Like, just ain't funny to me. I don't know. A couple of them did that, and I'm just like, I don't find that funny. Just like, am I supposed to think a woman being super raunchy is hilarious? Because I don't. I'm not saying I find guys that are super raunchy any less or more funny. I think it all just depends on the type of style that you have. But like, this girl literally walked out and was like, well, so my bush, I've been working on growing a big bush. And like, I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like random. I don't know. Wasn't that funny to me, but being in the Comedy Store was absolutely a bucket list. We sat front row, and like, it was such an incredible experience to actually just be there and like be in that place that holds such a lore with all of these big name people. And it was a great time. It was just a really, really great time. Overall, California was fantastic. Everything's expensive as hell. There's so much shit out there that is like trendy type things. Like there was this place called The Loop we went to that was basically a cup of ice cream with a churro in it, $8.50. And don't get me wrong, good as hell. It was good. But then there was a place called like Sidecar Donuts, a single donut, $4.50. It was good. Is it $4.50 good? Whatever. What's $5, right? Wild flavors, though. I think we all just got a bunch of donuts and shared them together. I think we had like pineapple basil, blueberry Pop-Tart, lavender rose mascarpone, just wild ass like boutique donuts. They were good though. Definitely cool. Sidecar donut if people are in California and want to eat that shit. Something that I did want to touch on. I wanted to make sure. Everyone is here just like fucking talking about In-N-Out Burger. I was even one of them people, I had it 2011, I think was the first time I went to California, and I had it back then. And for some reason it like stayed in my mind that it was the best thing in the world. And, I was like, damn, I can't wait to get back to California and have it. I don't know if it just went downhill, but 10 out of 10 times I'll take a Wendy's burger over an In-N-Out Burger. There is not a chance in the world that In-N-Out will touch a Wendy's burger. Wendy's got the best burgers, hands down. Fries, I would say, if you want to consider Chick-fil-A's waffle cut fries the best, I mean, if you want to put them in the same category as a regular French fry. If not, Wendy's fries are all right. You know, like McDonald's fries are cool, but as far as burgers go, you know, I'm not super picky. I'll eat a burger from anywhere, but if I have to choose, Wendy's for sure. We did have a Wahlburgers out there. Shout out Mark Wahlberg, Mark and Donnie Wahlberg. You know, these dudes opened up a hamburger chain called Wahlburgers, about to be a new one in Robinson. And, you know, I fuck with Mark Wahlberg. Who doesn't, right? Four Brothers. Who doesn't like Four Brothers? You know what I mean? You know, I was skeptical at first. Oh, Four Brothers. Shout out John Singleton. R.I.P. John Singleton wrote Four Brothers. He also wrote, you know, Too Fast, Too Furious, Boys in the Hood, Shaft. You know, this dude was an incredible director and writer, and he just recently passed away. John Singleton, R.I.P. But yeah, Wahlburgers was dope. I was pretty impressed with it, actually. Definitely weird. What else did we do out there that was awesome? Went to Laguna Beach. You know, I was looking for LC in Laguna Beach. Laguna Beach I went to before, and it always like stuck with me as like the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. Not as like the area of Laguna Beach, but I'm talking about the actual Thousand Steps Laguna Beach. 1,000 steps is like these, I believe it's like 230 steps. I think I looked it up, but it's this vertical staircase that you walk down off of this cliff pretty much, and it just takes you to Laguna Beach, or one of the beaches of Laguna Beach. And for some reason, it's not super packed. And, you know, I like being out there by myself. I like being out there with not a lot of people, but we went to Laguna Beach and it was incredible. Like, you know, not too many people there. It was a little bit overcast at first, but then it ended up, you know, the clouds went away and it started to be sunny. And, you know, there was a period where I was just sitting on Laguna Beach, looking at the ocean, listening to 2009 by Mac Miller. And, it was moving, you know, like it was a moving time, you know, just hitting a pen and listening to 2009, and you're just sitting there thinking, and you're just like, damn, like this is a moment right here. Man, Mac Miller, R.I.P. to him as well. After we did all this traveling, you know, it was time to come home, back to real life. And unfortunately, you know, on my way home, it was not as good of a time as it was on the way there. You know, I had a fucking layover in Chicago that got delayed 2 hours. You're just like, God damn it. I already had a 1.5 hour layover, but then I got an email. Actually, I came off as soon as I got service from the first flight. I got a text that said, "Oh, your flight's delayed." So I was like, sick, dude. And it was just miserable. It was miserable to sit in that damn place and just, you know, dick around for 3 hours. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do in an airport for 3 hours? They need to put a fucking movie theater in that joint. 3 hour layover, though, was just miserable. Just sitting there, you know, you got people coughing. I walked in the bathroom to take a shit, not a single stall in all of Chicago airport. I swear to God, I walked into 3 different bathrooms, every single one taken. And then I walk into one, and some motherfucker's just puking in a stall, just retching his guts out. And I'm just like, God, better not be on my flight. I ain't trying to get sick. If you're sick, stay your damn ass home. Okay, enough of vacation, though. It was a great time. If you haven't been to California, I recommend it. It's beautiful out there. It's, you know, if you smoke weed and that's your thing, it's all recreational. You can just go in and walk in and buy whatever the hell you want. It's just a wild world out there. Definitely different from what we got going on around here. But so after I got home, it was great. I just got home, took a nice hot ass shower, had some food, and relaxed on my couch with my wife. Caught up on some pizza reviews. If anyone knows what that is, Barstool Sports, they do this thing called One Bite. I don't know if it's called One Bite, but it's, you know, Davey Page Views, who is Dave Portnoy, the owner of Barstool Sports. He just reviews a pizza. He reviews pizza places. He goes to one every single day, and like, you know, he's a bro-y type dude, like a frat type guy, and that's not usually my vibe, but I love it. it's probably my favorite YouTube channel. This guy just goes to a random pizza place, walks outside and says, all right, Frankie, just takes a bite and, scores this pizza. And he always manages to make it kind of funny. Usually there's some something funny that happens in there, if it's just like people interacting with him that are walking on the street, because he's famous as hell now. Everyone knows who he is. He also has some cool guests on there. Bob Saget was on there, Tay Diggs, Vinny and Pauly D. Some of them are just so awkward though. Like Vinny from Jersey Shore is a vegan, or he's keto or some shit now, and he couldn't eat a slice of the pizza. So like it was just a weird exchange. Like he was like, why don't you take a bite of the pizza? And he was like, I can't. I'm keto. And it's like, motherfucker, I know you're promoting your new show, but like, play along with it. Come on now. But I've been thinking about is like, does it help it or does it hurt it? These reviews get hundreds of thousands of views. So people are definitely like watching them and hearing if the pizza is good or bad. He's genuinely fair, I feel. I don't think that he maliciously gives people bad scores. I think he's realistic about everything, because some places that don't look like it'll be good, he'll be like, oh, this is pretty good. But if he says, like last night we were watching one and he was like, this pizza's garbage. And it's like, you think, does that place lose business because he says it's garbage? Or does their business increase because people want to go there and see it for themselves? I'm not sure, but it's interesting to think about that. It's like, I try to think, like, me personally, if I heard that he was like, oh, this pizza's trash, I don't know. I don't know if that would necessarily make me not go to it, but I do enjoy some pizza. I just, I was reading in the news today that supposedly in Pittsburgh, we have some dude that has the best rated pizza in the world. I can't remember. It was called like Caliente's or some shit like that. But they said that this dude got the best, it's considered the best pizza in the United States. It makes me wonder, you know what I mean? It makes me wonder what's going on with the news and who voted for that pizza. Who made that choice that gave someone the best pizza award ever? Because you know what I mean? Like, who gives you the right to say there's that much pizza? I got to look more into it, but I'd like to try it out. That's all I'm saying. The news is weird, though. It's like you see shit on the news and you don't expect shit, and then you wonder where shit goes. Like, what happened to Momo? Does everyone remember what Momo is? Like, Momo was that weird looking type of like girl thing that was in these YouTube videos. It was telling young idiot kids to cut themselves. You know what I mean? Like, where did that go? It's like Coney 2020 or whatever the fuck that was. Coney 2012 or whatever. It's like they talk about it for so long, for like they beat it to death in a week, and then you just never hear about it again. Where'd Momo go? No one knows. No one knows at all. Anyway, I wanted to go over with people a little bit of my merch. You know what I mean? I wanted to talk about my merch and where some of it came from, because I've had some people ask me where the design came from. I have people come up to me while I'm at wherever I am. Like, I was checking out at Speedway the other day, and the guy was like, oh, it's a dope hoodie, where's that from? And I told him, and I kind of it's a long explanation. So like, my original design was an optometrist asking someone, what do you see? And on the vision board, it says, I'll call you right back podcast. But to the right of them, there is 2 jars with brains in it. And it's like, there's not crazy meaning behind there. It's more or less just like a loose based, I like weird shit. I like weird, edgy shit. And like the fact that this dude has something fishy about him having 2 brains in there, if he's an optometrist. And, I made a design. Like, I like what I like. And that one ended up doing pretty good. And then I decided to make this next design that was kind of like piggybacked on another. I made a design that was inspired by a couple things. So if people don't know what Heaven's Gate is a cult that was in 97 that this guy convinced all these people that they were going to be saved by this like alien ship that was going to come down and get them and take them up to wherever they want to be. And this guy convinced all these people, all right, they all dressed in black sweatsuits with black Nike Decade shoes, and they all mixed together some poison in some applesauce, ate it, got in these bunk beds, covered themselves with purple sheets, and that purple sheet was supposed to signal to this this spaceship or whatever the hell you want to call it, and it was supposed to take them to wherever they wanted to be. And I always thought that it was super wild. Like, I like all the cult shit. I think it's cool. I'm one of them people that, I'm a sucker for them murder docuseries. I like all that weird ass shit. But I always thought it was sick because these people were wearing Nike shoes. Like, that was part of the outfit. Nike Decade shoes, black ones. And I believe Nike discontinued them after this cult did this mass suicide. There's pictures all over the internet of it. But this shirt was kind of like, took a little bit of inspiration from that. The only thing that's different about it is people are drinking Kool-Aid in the shirt, because, it would have looked dumb if I would have put a bowl with some shit in there mixed together. No one would have knew what that was. So Jonestown Massacre was a big ass massacre where some guy convinced all these people to do a mass suicide, and they all drank this knockoff brand Kool-Aid, and they all died. I can't even remember how many people there were, but that's where the whole don't drink the Kool-Aid came from. So I made it this Kool-Aid, and I made it this picture, and I put a man, a woman, and a child on there. And it doesn't have any like crazy meaning. Like, this obviously isn't a cult. You know what I mean? My podcast is not a cult, but I got people that come back to listen to me every week. I just, I like weird shit, and I just played off of that. I got the woman holding the phone. I got the leader of the same guy that was in my first design, holding a cup and saying, "Take a sip, you'll love it." And that basically just means, like, try listening to the podcast. I'm sure that you're going to like it. I don't know if I'm going to lose listeners after this solo episode. Hopefully not, but I don't know. I just thought it was cool. Then you got the little kid right there saying, "Just do it," and telling, it's basically telling people just take a sip of the Kool-Aid, like, just try out this podcast. But it's also paying homage to Nike. Just do it, Nike Decade shoes, all this shit wrapped in together. But then, my last couple posts on my Instagram, you could see on my personal Instagram, you could see me, like, I always promote the shows on the I'll Call You Right Back Instagram, and then the day of the show, I'll always post a photo of me and my guests together. And the last couple of them, I have a brand new shirt that I'm doing right now that's an actual a photo from the actual cult that's altered a little bit, and it is going to be available for only people that have been guests on the podcast. So everyone could buy my first design right now. www.illcallyouRightback.com. I have hoodies, t-shirts on there, and people are all welcome to buy that design right there. But I'm making these exclusive shirts for only people that have been guests. I think it's pretty cool. Once, I posted a picture about it with a little bit of a description, and I got a lot of good feedback from it. A lot of people hit me up and was like, "Damn, dude, that's dope." People cop up some shirts, and I'm just happy that everyone is showing support. You know what I mean? I'm happy that people are supporting what I'm doing, and I don't want people to feel obligated to support what I do. I don't want anyone to feel obligated to support me. I want people to support me for the right reasons. I want people to show love because they enjoy what I'm doing genuinely. Like they want to listen to what I got to say. They want to hear me talk to people. They want to hear me interview all these different people around the city. And, recently online, I just found that there's this thing called bestofpgh.com. For some reason, it's like a best of in the city, and I clicked on there and I looked, and there is a best local podcast section, and I looked down there and my name was nominated. It says I'll Call You Right Back along with all the rest of these podcasts. So I was pumped about it. You know what I mean? I didn't nominate myself. I got nominated. Someone put me out there, and I was pumped. It was just cool to see my name on there, because last year, whenever I first started, like, my name wasn't on any of these things. So I've been working my ass off with this shit. Like, I'm trying so hard to make cool stuff for people. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to enjoy what I do with this podcast, and I want it to be a way for people to get to know people around the city in a way that it would appeal to anyone, whether you're, young, old, black, white, male, female, or whatever gender you subscribe to. I just want people to be able to enjoy this together. So, I made a post on Facebook, and my post said, "You already know, I'll call you right back. Is out here coming for the crown." Just means like, I'm out here doing it. I'm trying to be the best at what I do. So someone commented on there, and they were like, "Oh," and O with a question mark, and I was like, and I sent them an emoji of the little like purple devil face and the chart, like something going up on like a chart, like meaning like, my numbers are climbing, and they said weird flex, and I was like, I don't think I'm flexing, like I don't think that this is a flex. Like, I don't want people to mistake my confidence and me being proud with being cocky. Like, I ain't cocky about this. I just, I'm proud of what I'm doing. I know that I'm doing good shit. If you want to consider that cocky, then fucking consider it cocky. But I like to consider it being confident. I'm confident in myself. I'm confident in the product that I'm putting out. I'm genuinely happy with what I'm doing. And I mean, I feel that if you're not believing in yourself more than everyone else, then why aren't you? Why aren't you your biggest supporter? And then the person commented and said, "Yeah, dude, you got a good show. I genuinely hope good luck for you, but I don't think dunking on people is what this is about." And I said, dunking on people? Like, what does that even mean? Like, does he think I'm like throwing people under the bus, or does he like I didn't understand that, and I don't want people to think that I'm coming off as a dickhead with my podcast. You know what I mean? I just think it's ridiculous for someone to even say that. Like, no, don't want to dunk on people. Like, I don't know what that means. For me to put a status that said I'm coming for the crown, it's like, bro, I'm out here, I'm doing this shit, and I mean, I'm just not stopping. I just love it. I love everything about podcasting. I love all of you guys that are listening to this right now. I just really appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, I've been a fan of podcasting for, a decade now. I've been listening to podcasts for a decade, and it's always something that has been on my mind. I did a podcast like 5 years ago. I talk about it on here every once in a while. It was called the Pod Rats. I did this podcast when there wasn't people listening to podcasts. No one listened to a podcast. We had like 20 views, 25 views and shit like that. And that's what made it easy to fall apart, is because there was, I was broadcasting to nobody. And now it's just an insane world we're living in. Everyone knows what a podcast is. Everyone knows where to get a podcast. And there is a podcast for everyone in every genre, any subject you could think about. If you want to fucking learn about, I don't know, cricket, the sport cricket, I guarantee you there's a podcast. If you want to learn about movies, there's millions of podcasts. Anything you want. They have a whole podcast that's strictly, my buddy Dylan listens to this podcast that's just about 007. It's just a James Bond podcast. All it does is talks about James Bond. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. It can get that specific. Wrestling, UFC, anything you want, you could just find through podcasts. And I don't know where I was going with that. If you want to vote for me for best local podcast, I appreciate it. I'm working hard at this, and I'm going to keep working hard at it. I got a lot of dope people coming up, a lot of different type of conversations, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see all the shit that's happening. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm sorry if people might find, I just don't want people to find the way that I come off as cocky or as dickish at all, because I'm not. I'm just confident. But anyway, I appreciate everyone listening very, very much. I appreciate everything out there. I appreciate everyone else out there that's doing a podcast. Like, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. I'm not trying to take anyone's place, because I don't think there's anyone that's doing shit like I'm doing. Like, I think I'm doing things a little bit different with this, and I hope that you agree with it. So yeah. Now, I was going to do Desert Island questions for myself, because like, that's usually what we do. I do an ending segment with all my guests. It's called Desert Island Questions. So the first category on Desert Island Questions is movies. And I've been thinking about this, and I've been trying to be realistic with it. You know what I mean? I've been trying to think of what movies I would really take with me on a desert island. And I think that I have gotten them numbered. So in no particular order, I would take Shawshank Redemption, I would take Casino, and I would take The Monster Squad. 3 great movies. Some people have heard of, some have not. And yeah, I would watch the movies every day, all day, for the rest of my life. Second category is things to read. So I've read very few books in my life compared to other people, but I have read some that I would definitely take. There's a book called The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch, who was a professor at CMU, and he got cancer, and it was basically a book about how to live a fulfilling life with the time you have. And I remember reading it in high school, and I remember crying reading it. I remember thinking it was just like an incredible book, and I would like to read that again. My second choice is, I would say, The Outsiders. I love that movie. I love that book. Definitely just incredible. And my third choice is a book that I have not read yet that I would love to read. It's actually Robin Williams' biography, or autobiography. It's Robin Williams' book, but it's long as hell, and I haven't gotten to it yet. So I would take that with me. That'll pass some time. Third category is things to listen to on a desert island. All right, this is going to be a difficult one for sure, but I make the rules in this podcast, so I'm going to kind of make it easier on myself. I'm going to take the entire 58's discography. 58's, Brian Whiteman, B. White, was episode 58 on this podcast, and he is a McKeesport local rapper who is well known by the entire city of Pittsburgh. These group of dudes been putting out music for probably close to 10 years now, and I honestly just love their music. I don't know if it has to do with me knowing them, but I don't care if you don't know them at all. If I put on a song for someone that doesn't know who they are, they're going to think it's a quality song. They just put out heat all the time. So the first choice is definitely the 58's discography. But if I have to take 2 other CDs, the only CDs that I could keep going back to over and over and over again that I could listen to for the rest of my life is A Lesson in Romantics by Mayday Parade, which is a bizarre choice for sure, but that music, I walked out to that song at my wedding. That music will always play a part in my life and take me back to certain time periods. And the last one will have to be, I think it'll have to be 10 Years in Transit by Jack's Mannequin. Jack's Mannequin is the band, or was the band of Andrew McMahon. Andrew McMahon originally formed a band called Something Corporate years and years ago, which eventually broke up and formed Jack's Mannequin, which eventually broke up into a solo act called Andrew McMahon. And he's actually super popular now. I heard his song one time at a Penguin game, and you hear them all the time, and it's just weird to think about that. It's weird to think about how different shit is. Like back in the day in like 9th, 10th grade, I was listening to Panic at the Disco, and now Panic at the Disco is one of the biggest bands of all time, and no one knew who they were before. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, I was like one of the first to listen, but like, scene kids were on top of some shit before other people. Think of it. Paramore, all you motherfuckers listening to Paramore now, we were listening to them back then. Hayley Williams was a scene queen. She was in there from the beginning. And other people, Bring Me the Horizon. That's not like their genre is not necessarily scene. I mean, I guess it could be scene. Yeah, fuck yeah, I guess it's scene. But Oliver Sykes had this band called Bring Me the Horizon that at one point in time was the most rude and degrading to women that you could ever be. Like, fucked up lyrics. But now they completely turned their style around, and you hear them at Penguin games, you hear them on TV commercials, you hear them everywhere, and it's pretty incredible to think about that. It's definitely wild how the world progresses. Second to last category is Death Row Meal. Death Row Meal is where I let my guest choose any food they want to eat with them before they die. They could eat whatever they want, however much they want, from wherever they want. Obviously, I am going to take some Streets on Carson. Shout out Streets on Carson. This podcast is sponsored by Streets on Carson. Me and Matt Christie did an interview a while back, and ever since then we've been boys. And this dude, I'm sure that if you listen to this podcast, you've heard me rant and rave about Streets on Carson. Streets on Carson is on the 11th block of East Carson Street. Street foods from around the world, and it's just incredible food. If I had to choose some things before I would be put to death, I would get some 24 karat wings from Streets on Carson. I would get a do I want a Philly cheesesteak from them? Either Philly cheesesteak or the Pepito, which is like a chicken and jalapeno. But then I would also get some Yoli's pizza. I would get some, probably some Yoli's raviolis too. Yoli's is fire. And then I would have a pot de creme by Chef Matt at Streets. Pot de creme is like a hard chocolate custard almost. Unreal. And then yeah, I'll leave it at that. That's some good food right there. Absolutely. And the last question that I ask every one of my guests is, if I could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why? And I usually tell people, it's understandable if you pick a loved one. A lot of people pick loved ones. That's that's who my mind first goes to is a loved one. I would talk to my grandfather if I could. My grandfather passed away whenever I was probably 15, and I just didn't get to have like a good man-to-man conversation with him. Like, whenever you're 15, you're not a man. And I would just love to talk to him now and have a conversation to the point where we could have a conversation as men together. You know what I mean? If it wasn't my grandfather or a loved one, I've been thinking about this a lot. And there's a lot of people I would talk to. I would love to talk to Robin Williams. I would love to just like talk to Richard Pryor. I would love to talk to Chris Farley. Like, I just love comedy. Comedians, I feel like I relate to comedians. I just love laughing. I don't think there's anything better in the world than laughing. That's the shit that fills your heart is watching a comedy or watching any comedy and just laughing. Like, what better feeling is there than to just laugh? It's the only thing that you could do yourself that truly takes away all pain in your body. It's just like, if you see something funny and you have one of them good deep down laughs, like, that shit'll keep you going for a while. But yeah, so many good people to talk to. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm not going to keep talking your ear off. I didn't even think I was going to be able to go this long. That's what she said. But I appreciate everyone. I really, really do. And I hope you enjoy this podcast. Follow me on Instagram at I'll Call You Right Back. I'll Call You Right Back on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want. Everything's I'll Call You Right Back. You know the drill by now. Scroll below, click the link. It'll take you right there. You don't have to worry about it. And, you know, give me some feedback on this. I'm doing this single episode, the solo episode. This will probably be the only one I do. You know, I don't plan on making this a regular thing, but I wanted to try it out. You know what I mean? I just wanted to try it out. So give me some feedback. I'll call you right back at gmail.com, and just let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you like it, if you dislike it. Call me a piece of shit if you want. But I appreciate everyone, and I hope you have a great day. I'll call you right back.